Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Detective Butler, Maiden Voyage Murder. I believe this might be the final part, or the second to last part, but we're just gonna get right into this, because I'm really excited. Let me first say that I never want to be a murderer. I know, how cliche, right? But it's true. I believe that we are all murderers at heart. Only the unlucky ones chosen by fate get punished for it. Some simply unlucky. It's what happens when people get pushed to the limits. When you reach that breaking point, it becomes easy to forget your humanity or any sense of compassion for others. In truth, I reached the point long ago. It was only a matter of time before I acted upon these instincts. Perhaps that's why I had no passions, no goals, no dreams. It was all content, working enough to pay the bills, and that was that. Some might say there was something wrong in my head. I don't know if that's true. I know that I often don't get along with people, nor do I think about most people's world. Anyway, I digress again. All I can say for sure is that I wanted something, and I felt no choice but I had to earn it through hard work. And that's what they always say, right? You can do anything with enough effort. I graduated from university with a bachelor's in applied mathematics. Somehow I excelled in that subject. I heard it was good money, so I told myself, why not? Afterwards, I landed several nice jobs until I found myself working at GG. My employers always praised me for being so intelligent and dedicated to my craft. When I found out I was going to be working in such a wealthy company, I anxiously awaited for my first day. Govana Golder, the man everyone looked up to, yet at the same time feared. Yes, everyone, at least in my department. Of course, back then, the only boss I had to worry about was the previous chief financial officer. But even she was afraid of Galvano. After a few years of working, I unexpectedly promoted to the position of CFO. I wondered what should transpire between Galvano and my boss. She was really a nice woman, so it was surprising to hear that she was fired. I spoke with her in person at a local bar. I loved going to drink. She explained how it happened. A new recruit named Eliza had just been promoted to CCO, and she was absolutely terrible at her job. I wondered exactly how she could have gotten such a high rank. Then my former boss told me, she's a manipulator, exploiter, and she's just charming enough to make you forget that she's who she is. Gavana needed that kind of person in his life more than anyone. I asked my boss how she knew. Apparently, Galvano had been having some breakdowns at work, and his personal life was no secret. He wouldn't stop talking about his deceased wife. He never said anything about Gilligan. Not until recently. I can only wonder what changed him. No, I know. Eliza did. I saw it for myself once. I began working for my former boss's place. The reason I had succeeded her because I was dedicated to my job and stood among all other employees. I don't get distracted easily, and instead I focus on the small details. Eliza and I worked together quite often, and I was able to get a look into her psyche quite easily. She was one of those girls who acts so nice around men but can't stand it when women show up. And it was my problem. It's not my fault that I'm dedicated and know how business works. I mean, that's why I went to school. I didn't graduate to become someone who acts like an idiot, expecting people to forgive them each time they make an amateur mistake. No, my goal was to become someone respectable, someone people could look up to and say, what a smart person she is. Well, I guess it's too late for that now. After all, you caught me. It was honorable to be invited on this cruise. I really was. But behind the scenes, we also suspected Galvano was going to say something important because he kept talking more and more about Gilligan and less about his wife. He saved the company from bankruptcy. I'm the chief financial officer. That's my duty. The one who invested into plans that made no sense. That was Eliza, and she blamed everything on me. But I wasn't alone. Hyder understood my problems, and he understood Galvano's problems as well. He's really good at that, I'll admit. Truly an honorable friend, and I'm happy to have met him. Deep inside me, the one I hated was Eliza, but the only one who could silence or punish her, Gavana, was on her side. So my anger was directed towards him instead. That's what I was saying! Well, not necessarily jealousy of, like, her liking him, but, like, the fact of, like, she wanted to kill Eliza, but she couldn't because Galvano. So I didn't set up an elaborate scheme to kill him. It was all an accident. An intentional accident. Where just the right circumstances led to his death. It was almost midnight on the first night of the cruise. Galvano had brought us out to Eliza's room for a meeting. I'm sorry we're having this unexpected meeting, but I can't let things slip unnoticed any longer. What's wrong? I thought this cruise was supposed to be something relaxing. I can tell you're nervous, Galvano. Seriously, what's wrong? It doesn't have to do anything with the financial situation, does it? No, it's about Gilligan. Gilligan? I think it was obvious what I was planning to do here. The trip wasn't only a celebration of the company's financial success, it was also the company's future. So, you're passing the company down already? It makes sense. Why else would you bring Gilligan along? True. That's why I brought Gilligan here. I'm sure you all thought it was odd since you hadn't met any of you before. He's a nice kid. You really raised him well. We all expected to hear Galvano's trademark laughs right now. But strangely, he said nothing and looked down. Is everything alright? Come on, what's wrong? You can tell us. There's only one problem. Gilligan refuses to accept it. I foresaw as much. Luckily, you two haven't been getting along lately. We haven't gotten along in years. Not since his mother died. I was hoping to change that, but in the end I failed. It only made things worse. Again, Galvano is plagued with intense guilt. He puts his hands up to his face, about to cry, refusing to show his tears to you and his most faithful employees. But that's all besides the point. What do you plan on doing now? I don't know. I gotta think about passing it down to a view. The whole room fell silent. All of you are my most trusted employees. It's only because of you three that I've gone this far myself. I plan on passing it down to Gilligan so he could live a good life, but he doesn't want to accept it. Appointing just one of you led to the company's immensely difficult choice. That's why I called you all here. Hopefully you can sort this out before it causes any trouble. Do you really need to retire? You can keep working, right? I'm getting old. I think I'm losing my golden touch. We haven't had such a close call with Jack's grandfather. And if it wasn't for Blight's insight, we would have gone bankrupt by now. Thank you. So I think it's only fair to the company if someone else takes over. As your best friend, I'd be honored to take your place. No offense, but you're just as old as Galvano. If age is a factor, then there's no way you could be the next CEO. I suppose that's true. It only comes down to Eliza and Blythe, doesn't it? Still a difficult decision. I believe I worked at the company long enough to understand it well. Eliza's only been here for too much, and she still has much to learn. But then again, if age is a factor, Blythe would be passing the company down in no time at all. What's that supposed to mean? No, there's only one factor that matters here. And what is that? Trust. Who can I trust to keep my company intact after all I've done? Who knows me and my values well enough to guide the company into the right direction? That person is Eliza. You're letting her be the new CEO, even though she's the reason we almost went bankrupt? I don't know what you mean by that. But because of that incident, I realized how important my family is to me. If that had happened, I might have still think wealth is all that matters in the world. But she lacks the skill to lead. Putting her in charge would sabotage the company. I'd be a much more suitable candidate. Galvano, maybe this is too hasty. We should save the discussion for a more appropriate time. Still, it's my company and my decision. I have faith in Eliza. Now then, the meeting is settled. Eliza and I have some things to talk about, but you two can go. Laval quickly dismissed the meeting, and both Howard and I left the room. I was left in the empty hall. I saw Howard return to his room, but of course I was not in the mood to sleep. The bar was a place for me to collect my thoughts, and as the cliche goes, drink my sorrows away. I thought maybe there'd be a nice guy like me over there who would take all my problems away. He'd be attractive and charming, just like that captain guy. But of course, what was there to expect besides a bunch of other washed-up losers looking for a place to drink as well? Either that or they all go for girls like Eliza, not me. That's how it always ends. Alone, and that's all I'll ever be. Dug myself into a hole and I couldn't get out of. Where was I to go from here? Once we got back, what would I do? This was my biggest opportunity and I blew it. Glanced over at the barmaid. She was cute, clumsy, and looked a lot like younger than me. Was sure guys would be all over her, but me? I need something to drink. I asked her for the strongest vodka she had, my personal favorite. She said to me, "You look like you've seen a ghost," and somehow she ended up talking about some stupid ghost tour scheduled the next day. I didn't really care. It was, at my end, my final breaking point. Not only had I failed, but I felt like I lost an entire war. Eliza had won, and she'd been given control of the entire company. 1, 2, 3 shots. I had to keep remind the barmaid one more, since she was bad at her job, but she couldn't have been as bad as Eliza, so I didn't make a fuss about it. There was no longer a point of holding it back, so I drank and drank and drank until I couldn't see straight anymore. The last thing I wanted was a witch as my boss. Terror that made inane reveling, I asked her for the bottle to take back to my room. She complied, and I was soon on my way. Till I bumped into the man himself, that is. Yes, he had decided to come and apologize to me in person. Blythe, I'm sorry. I was a little harsh back there. He looks at the vodka bottle in my hand. So, you did come here after all. I figured you weren't so happy about what happened. Seemed like you were right for once. But you know, you're still wrong about promoting Eliza like that. You don't get it, do you? Am I supposed to be getting something? I know it must have hurt, but I stated my reasoning. Reasoning? Since one was less me reasoned anything out. Pop opened the bottle and took a few swigs just for show. Go ahead and tell me where I've gone wrong then. She seduced you, isn't it obvious? How could you deny it? It's always the latest gossip. Drinking more and more of the vodka bottle, as if some magical charm to help me win the argument. That's a bold assumption. Is this some personal vendetta against Eliza, or am I the one you should be getting mad at? Good question. Maybe both? Look, you're not in a good condition to be talking about this. Put down the drink and get serious. Haha, you're one to talk. Can't even see that Eliza's been duping you into thinking I'm the troublemaker here? Screw it. Screw it all! I walked past him, pacing through the corridor of the hallway. My mind wasn't entirely there, although at the same time my mind was speaking the most it had in ages. Now hold on! What do you mean she's been duping me? All that stuff about the company going out of business? Yeah, that's her fault. I don't have the papers with me, of course, but do you really think I'd land us into this mess? Me with my skills? She has no reason to lie to me. In a half-drunk state, I leaned against the wall, unintentionally pushing the button for the elevator. No reason? I bet I can think of a few. You've been so obsessed with her finding a replacement you couldn't see past her facade. A replacement? No, you don't mean my... Of course I do. See, I was right. I knew it all along. I trusted her. Are you telling me that was the wrong decision? The elevator doors opened and I second thought I stumbled inside. Wait, hold on. He enters the elevator as well, and the two of us alone. just after the doors closed, separating us from the outside world. You might ask at this point what exactly happened in that closed room. I don't remember it well enough to tell you. I was too drunk, that's all I know. The world became a blur, my thoughts became reality, and I took Ivano's life into my own hands. Must have hit him with the vodka bottle, must have shattered, and whether or not I thought he survived, I kept hitting him over and over. I hadn't noticed the dying message, not at all. I wasn't in the right state of mind to understood it anyway. All I could think of were my inner feelings, my hatred for that man, and the opportunity I was given to unleash it all upon him. And that's how it all happened. Blythe and I had been talking for the past hour or so. No, only Blythe had been talking. I remained silent, listening to her story. By the end of it, I was speechless. Not because I was shocked or surprised by what I heard, but because the story had been such a simple one to tell. We didn't want here, excluding the bodyguard watching over her. Butler said he had to do something before the ship docks, and considering he solved the mystery, he had no interest in hearing her motive. That's it, huh? And that's why he killed him, too. Right. I confessed everything. Are you satisfied? I feel strange. No longer angry, but a bit of me feels sorry for her. But overall, I'm still relieved that my father's murder has been found. Despite that, despite knowing that the killer had been caught and knowing why and how she had done it, I can't help but feel something is missing. I'm sorry, I can't bring your father back. I can only confess my crime and admit the truth. Deep down, that's all I really want, but I know it won't happen. That isn't how life works. Or death, rather. I should be happy that you're locked away. But now I just feel sad, because my father's death could have been so easily avoided. Both of you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. We're all people. We all make mistakes. That's all that is, a mistake or a misunderstanding. I had made so many mistakes in the past. My father made mistakes as well, and those mistakes ultimately led to his death. However, that was Blythe's mistake. I'm sure, just like me, she wants a second chance. I'm sure deep down, she'd have rather not killed him. Suddenly, the bodyguard standing near Blythe puts a hand to his head, adjusting his earpiece. He nods his head intently before turning to face me. That was the captain. He arrived at the docks. He's ordering me to guide Mrs. Calico upstairs. All right, then. The bodyguard grabs Blythe by the shoulder, standing her up from her chair. Both her arms are still tied behind her back with a rope. She's been tied up and locked down in this dark and dirty room for hours, like a caged animal. Is that really any way to treat a human? Some people say that when you're hurt, it's not the action that matters, but the intent. Even if someone hurts you, if they didn't intend to hurt you, it's possible to forgive them. Even if she's a criminal, even if the end result is that my father died, she didn't have any malicious intent. It was, according to her own words, an accident. She was a bit too drunk and her inner demons won over. Yeah, that's all it was. If it was an impulsive, spur-of-the-moment killing. If she hadn't been pushed so far, under so much stress, it wouldn't have happened. Should I blame my own father for leading Blythe to her breaking point? Is it Eliza's fault for manipulating my father, or is it my own fault for being so stubborn? In the end, I'll have to sacrifice someone. In a strange and twisted way, I can almost relate to Blythe's struggle. She had worked my father's respect and admiration, but no matter how hard she worked for it, she always just fell short. And in her most vulnerable state, she unleashed her emotions in a reckless way. Blythe is only human. She's a fun person, a smart person whom tragically just happened to fall upon. Is it really fair to blame just her for all of this? There were many cogs in this machine. She's simply the one that pulled the trigger. I just can't stand for that kind of injustice either. Wait. Untie her first. Huh? You sure about that? It's the least I can do. To show she has my trust. It was an accident, right? You didn't mean to kill him, right, Blythe? Right? That's right, it was an accident. I wasn't thinking at the time. Then I forgive you. People make mistakes. Please untie her to leave her some remaining dignity. That's the least I can offer her. The bodyguard scratches his head for a moment. He's probably asking himself if it's really such a good idea, but it seems I persuaded him in the end. He takes their pocket knife and slashes the rope apart. I suppose that's one way to do it. Thank you, Gilligan. It's often very easy to forget that even good people can do bad things. It could be your friend or your family or even one day you. That's why it's important to hear the other side of the story. I don't like it when people suffer, no matter who they are. Everyone deserves a second chance. That's the lesson I've learned here. Suddenly I hear the sound of an enormous explosion. I turn around to see what happened. It looks like one of the boilers was hit by something, and now a fire is spreading everywhere. Thank you for your cooperation, Gilligan. Well done. Well done. Blythe holds a gun in her hand, the same one I'd seen the guard carrying earlier. And speaking of him, he's lying face down on the floor. You nearly had me. I was locked up at corner, but you let your emotions get to you once again, and you helped me make an escape. Please move out of the way, or I'll have to kill you too. That's because I believed in you. It was an accident, wasn't it? Wasn't it? You'd really like to think so, wouldn't you? I can tell you for sure it was spontaneous. I thought about taking out my frustrations many times before. I felt so sorry for you. I knew exactly why you despised him so much. Above all else, he was making poor decisions for the company, and I couldn't stand that any longer. When the captain found me passed out in the elevator, he took me in his room and we came up with a plan. Paid him off to cooperate and pinned the whole thing on that maid. You can't treat murder like some business deal. It's unethical to trade money for a human life. She wants me to step aside, but I stand firm. The fire grows noticeably. I can smell the burning rusted metal reaches me. Why would you do that? I thought you were better than that. You're not really so heartless, right? Heartless? Oh, but I thought you wanted your father dead. Shouldn't you be thanking me? I bet you warned him. You warned him that one day this company of his would get him killed. Stupid Galvano. You should have listened to your son. What a stupid man. What a pathetic, hopeless man. A pitiful excuse of a human being. To work hard for so long only to lose it all in the end. I won, Galvano. You're dead, so I won. Ooh, get clapped! Bam! Blythe flies backwards, unprepared for my sudden attack. The gun flies out of her hand. Don't ever say that about my father again. She tries her best to stand back up, nervously shaking in front of me. She looks timid, frightened, cautiously trying to distance herself. But that doesn't matter. No matter how far back she distances herself from reality, I'll press forward, shoving reality in her face. Don't say anything about him again. Got it? I won't let you insult my family. Whether you like it or not, Galvano was an awful husband, a terrible father, a tyrant of a business leader. You can't deny the truth. I'm sure that, over time, he felt awful about what had happened to my mother. It broke him down, and our distant relationship tore him apart even more. There's clear evidence that he was trying to become a better person. He listened to me, decided to give the company to someone he could trust, and learn from his mistakes. That's only what you think. Why would a man with all the money and power he could ask for do something like that? Money can't buy happiness. Money can always be earned back. That company wasn't the only thing that made his life. He also made me. Gillian, Blythe, you've taken someone away from me that I can never get back. This isn't money which you can promise you'll pay me later. It's my father, a human being, so I have no sympathy for people like you. If you had listened to my father's story the same way I listened to yours just now, maybe you wouldn't have been so filled with hatred to take his life. Whatever. All the evidence against me will soon be burned away. Go to hell with your father. Blythe quickly gets up and runs through the flames towards the exit. There's only one door, a single way out. Nothing is stopping her from leaving. I can't let her get away. Not after coming so far. I can't let her go. Pick up the gun she left behind and drag the fallen bodyguard with me and head towards the exit as fast as I can. Gilligan! What happened? As soon as we heard the fire alarms go off, we knew something wasn't right. Cecilia and Donald greeted me at the top of the stairs. They must have been confused seeing me, of all people, carrying one of Jack's bodyguards up these stairs. But I shot a hole into one of the boilers to try to destroy all the evidence against her. Now she's trying to make an escape. Suddenly the man I'd been carrying starts to cough. He grabs a hold of the nearby walls and stands himself upright. Thanks for saving me back there, kid. Usually people just like me are just cannon fodder. No problem. So Sally, could you do me a quick favor? I want you to call Butler on your walkie-talkie and tell him to meet me out front. We can't let Blythe get away. Aye aye, Captain. Blythe could be seen running through the ship's entrance and across the loading platform. Although the ship had docked, no one had started disembarking yet, and the halls were filled with people. The sound and ringing of the fire alarms only added to everyone's confusion. Captain Jack had promised he had called the police, but I can't see any police cars outside. Was that a lie too? She's going to get away if I don't run any faster. And as I exit the ship, I see her run straight through the parking lot and up to her car, getting inside. No, she's getting away. Oi, Gilligan! What the hell did you do down there? Looks like Butler just arrived just in time. I know you're gonna get mad at me, but there's no time to explain. Blythe's getting away and we have to stop her. Yeah, you're right. I am mad at you, but between the fire and Blythe escaping, everything we worked for may soon be for nothing. But we still have a chance. We dashed to the parking lot with a short distance before stopping at my father's car. Butler pulls out a very familiar keys and unlocks the door. How'd you get his car keys? Just his pockets, of course. Figured these might come in handy. Still unsure of his plan, I get inside the car with him. He quickly gets the engines running. Ah, the stupid noise again. Before I knew it, he had gotten us flying at light speed, headed straight for Blythe's car. Listen carefully, Gilligan. We're only gonna get one shot at this, so don't screw this up either, okay? What? What do you want me to do? Before he can answer me, he makes a right turn instead of continuing behind Blythe's car. What the hell is he doing? She doesn't know these streets too closely, being a tourist, but I know them like the back of my hand. This is a shortcut. If I time it right, we'll catch up to your car this way. What I want you to do once we get there, take out her car's tire with the weapon you picked up. You mean you want me to fire this gun? I never used a gun in my life! Well, you better figure this out. We've only got one shot at this. No pun intended. How much longer until she gets here? Any second now. Butler rolls down the car windows and I stick my head outside. It's so dark it's almost impossible to see, but I can't afford to mess this up. I'll be in big trouble if I end up missing, or if I shoot the wrong car. We wait a few moments longer. As Blythe's car finally approaches, Butler makes sure to tell me when to fire. Do it now, Gilligan! I know this moment will pass by the blink of an eye, steadying my hand and aim as best as I can for the car to tire, where I have to aim just a bit ahead of them, so if I finally shoot, they'll be in position. Here goes! Next thing I know, I see Blythe's car spinning out of control. It quickly crashes into the facade of a nearby building without injuring a single person. Butler pulls over on the side of the road and brings our car to a stop. He flings the door open and dashes towards the wreckage. I follow his lead. Before he can get there, Blythe's car door opens and she collapses onto the ground. She picks herself up one last time. Damn it. You two brats. You both ruined everything. Well now, still trying to run from the truth, are you? Guess you haven't learned your lesson after all. You think I'm running away? This is pure perseverance. Every obstacle in my path is just another test of perseverance. Just when you think you've been cornered, all you need is a strategy to turn the tables on your opponent. That's assuming you still have any moves left you can make. Even the best strategy is useless when you're the one to turn away from checkmate. At this point, you're no more than a lone king on a chessboard trying to avoid getting checkmate mated by 2 rooks. It's only a matter of time until you lose. Violet looks around for something useful in a last-ditch effort to win. But she can't see too well without her glasses. Even if there is something here that can help her, she won't be able to recognize it. After a few months of silence, she realizes it as well. There is no longer any move she can make in order to win. Between truth and happiness, you can't have both. The truth was that Blight had been caught, but she didn't want to admit it. She tried to run from this truth. In the end, her attempt to flee only delayed the inevitable. Her only option now is to accept her loss. Good game. Good game. Fought hard until the bitter end, and I like that. But your time is up, so let's go moving, shall we? He throws Blythe into the backseat of my father's car and slams the door shut. Although she tried to remain calm in front of the 2 of us the whole time, and from the corner of my eye, she's finally breaking down and sobbing. Meanwhile, Butler and I sat on the hood of the car until we wait for the police to arrive. It probably shouldn't be much longer, considering all the commotion we just caused on the way here. Finally, at long last, our day comes to an end. It's been 2 days since the murder. Yesterday, we all spent the day with the police, but due to a large amount of evidence Butler had gathered, we didn't need to stay for very long. The fire hadn't reached above the first deck before it was put out, so the crime scene remains fully intact. Either way, we were called back here once again for Blythe's trial, but for the time being, we can all go home. So, here we are at the airport. Howard is reading the newspaper. We managed to make the headlines already. It's going to be a nightmare once we get back to New York. Everyone will keep asking me questions about the incident, I'm sure. Meanwhile, Liza is writing in some documents she took out of her luggage. I can see the GG emblem on them. These papers must be work-related. I guess she's not taking any chances slacking off now. That's right, Liza was appointed the new CEO, wasn't she? With all the commotion about my father's death, I'd completely forgotten about that. She's going to have more responsibilities than she did at her previous role, and she looks a bit nervous. I wonder if she'll really make a good successor. Suddenly, I hear a familiar voice calling me. Hey, Gilligan! Cecilia can be seen running towards our group. She trips and falls on the way over. Cecilia, are you okay? Don't worry about me. I'm just here to see you off. Thanks. It's good to see you again, too. It's the least I could do. I'm really sorry your cruise was such a disaster. I can't imagine you had a lot of fun. It probably wasn't much of a vacation now that you already have to go back. Well, I wasn't expecting much in the first place, although I doubt anyone could have expected that what actually happened. Believe me, there are a lot of fun places around here. Maybe you can come back sometime and I can take you on a tour. Sure. I look forward to that. So, what are you planning to do once you return to New York? My father had me roll in a big-name university, so I feel like I should at least test the waters. Once summer is over, I'll start my first year of university. Hopefully I'll get a degree when I'm 22 in 4 years. 1, 2, 3... Wait, you're only 18? It seems she just realized her blunder at the bar. What about you? I mean, what kind of plans do you have for the future? You've heard about what happened with the fire, right? Yeah. I went to the basement at in the first deck. Right. And you know what was down there, don't you? The boilers, the engine, the supplies room, the laundry room. It's not going to be inhabitable for a long time. So what are you going to do? I suppose I have to find work somewhere else. I was thinking on my own way here. Maybe I can become a flight attendant. It looks like it could be fun. That means Dallin will be out of a job too, won't he? Yeah, but Dallin wants to retire anyway. He told me this incident was too much for him. He nearly had a heart attack when the ship started going up in flames. That's understandable. The ship was to go to his family, and now it's not even usable anymore. I'm sure I just want to forget it ever happened, too. And Captain Jack still hasn't been found, has he? Yeah, no one's seen or heard from him ever since the ship docked. In fact, when the fire alarms went off, the whole crew tried searching for him. It was assumed he might have died in the fire. But we did notice yesterday that one of the lifeboats had gone missing. Isn't that kind of strange? So, Is it possible he faked his death and escaped after all? It's not as though he's guilty for murder, but he did act as an accomplice. There's not much we can do, so I hope the police are able to do their jobs and find him. Liza's been silent the whole time, occasionally looking up from her paperwork. She probably wanted to engage in her conversation, but she must have had some important things to take priority. Hey Gilligan, sorry to interrupt, but there's something important Howard and I need to ask of you. Sure, what is it? As you know, your father appointed me to be the next CEO of the company. The process is going to be rather lengthy, especially because of his sudden and suspicious death. But if this is really going to happen, I need your signature. You're the only surviving relative. There's no other way for this transition to work unless you're okay with it, too. When Galvano was still alive, he had the legal authority to transfer a company to Eliza. But since nothing about it was ever done while he was alive, there's no legal proof of a transfer of power anywhere. In other words, you're going to inherit the company no matter what. So the best you can do is sign an agreement to hand it over to Eliza, but that's entirely your own decision. No pressure, right? I won't be mad if you tell me otherwise. It's your company now, and you can run it in any way you'd like. I see. Yeah, no pressure. The decision was actually pretty significant. I didn't realize at the time, but what they were saying was true. If Eliza was to become the CEO, I'd have to give her that power. The question was, did I want to give that position away? After everything that happened, I'm in a better position to understand what my father had truly wanted. Perhaps it wasn't so bad after all. I already had told Cecilia I'd be attending school, but with my father's vacancy, I could opt to skip higher education and go straight into the workforce. Okay, you sure you'll be okay with whatever I decide? Promise. I want to give it a chance, but I'm nearly prepared to be a CEO right now. Howard, you've known my father for so long. You know him better than anyone else. I'd like if you could teach me how everything works inside the company and teach me what my father wanted. That I can definitely do for you. And Eliza, until I'm prepared enough for this whole role, I'd still like you in charge. My father trusted you, so I will do the same. And a mature response. Make sure all the paperwork is sorted out that way. Also, Cecilia, since you're going to be looking for a new job anyway, I'm willing to hire you at GG Inc. Really? But I'm just a maid. I don't know anything about life insurance. That's fine. I'm sure we could train you. It's not like I know anything either. That sounds promising. Maybe you can show me around New York then. We continued to talk until our flight had been announced. It was time to start boarding the airplane back home. That's our flight number, isn't it? People are forming a line. Yeah, our flight has been called. We better get moving, Gilligan. I grabbed a hold of our carry-on luggage and I had beside my chair. Well, this is it. Let's stay in touch. Yeah, I'll see you later. Have a safe flight home. The three of us headed to our designated seats. Howard offers to let me sit by the window. I set my luggage beneath the seat and look outside. After a few minutes, the engine started up. That's the sound again. Speaking of engines, Detective Butler had mentioned something to me before we parted ways. It was just after our confrontation with Blythe that she attempted to escape custody. Listen, Gilligan. You remember when I told you to take out that gun and aim for the tires, right? Do you recall actually seeing the bullet hit the tires? It was too dark to see. I just assumed that's what happened. How else could the car spin out of control like that? I was shocked I managed to hit them so accurately on my first try. Come on, take a look at the tires with me. She won't get away now with the cops watching her right now. Come on, just real quick. Okay, I'm looking. I don't see anything at all. Well, that's the problem. There are no holes. The tires aren't flat. I don't see any bullet marks on the car itself. Then what happened? Butler points to the hood of the car. Smoke is rising out of it, and the hood is popped slightly open. I had seen something like this before, hadn't I? From what I can tell, it looks like a homemade bomb. All you need is some cleaning supplies, and it's easy enough to create. Who would place a bomb in our car? Who could have done that? I'd say we've done a sleuthing for one day, or at least I have. About that. I have to find some way to repay you. You've done so much to help me. I had fun, and that's payment enough. Unless you're willing to share some of that big corporate cash you've got flowing into your bank account. Sure, I'll come up with something. Let's just stay in contact. Sounds like a deal. If you ever run into another interesting cases, ring me up and I'll be there. Right. Because you'll want to write about it in the Lighthouse Chronicles, won't you? Nah, that whole reporter thing was a lie to get some VIP seats on the cruise. I'm a stay-at-home detective who likes to go on misadventures. Finally, the airplane has taken off, and now we're sitting comfortably in the blue skies. I got kind of bored looking out the window, so I opened my carry-on luggage to search for a more interesting use of my time. And I found it. A Golden Age mystery novel Butler had given to me as a parting gift. He said it was about a pair of brothers who were murdered in London. Both of them had been found in supposedly impossible situations, but the truth was, of course, much simpler. And when Butler gave this to me, he told me that the authors of that era wanted their readers to be able to find the answer before the detective. It was a back and forth between the two. In other words, a game. So Butler challenged me to find the answer the author had hidden between the lines. But before he left, Butler told me one thing. Sure, it takes a real detective to find the answer that the author had hidden, but it takes an even better detective. Do you know what they can do? They can find the answers that the author had never intended. Do you think that you can find them, Gilligan? I'd like to see you try. Very well then, Detective Butler. I'll give it my best shot. So, that was The Misadventures of Detective Butler. I just been calling it Detective Butler Maiden Voyage Murder. But anyway. So, I definitely like this game. Like, honestly, this is probably a really fun game. I feel like it could have been more, like, interactive. Because this was more like a story, like, just clicking and reading. And, like, I feel like there could have been more of, like, an interactive kind of thing. One of those things maybe where you're like using your mouse and you're having to like find the actual clue, almost like a hidden object type thing. I feel like there also could have been a little bit more involvement when it comes to like backstory development. I feel like the backstory kind of was a little bit choppy. I mean, I understood it, but I feel like they should definitely have made it a little bit less cutthroaty and back and forth and more like, here's the situation back then, like the whole situation, and here's the situation now. I feel like they kind of did it back and forth. But other than that, I feel like this whole entire game was just a really big thing, and I genuinely enjoyed it. I am so excited to play Ace Attorney whenever I get the chance to. But yeah, that's really all I have to say. I would recommend you guys play if you have Steam. I believe it's free on Steam, actually. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure you like and subscribe for more bonus content unlocked. Select new game from the main menu to see additional material. Hold on. To see additional material? Music box? Jesus Christ! How do I escape this? I just got ear raped. What the fuck? Gallery. What's all this photo? Bonus. Huh. Official website. Additional art. Huh. Kind of funny. method used to gain to Gavanna's room. Other notable features include Butler remaining knocked out for long until the ship actually docks and is transferred to a local hospital. But in the case, the man who awakens. Where's your difference? But anyway guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more videos like this one. And I'll see you in the next one!